In 2013, a courtroom moment went viral. The footage showed a young woman during her legal proceedings, and millions watched, shared, and commented. But the viral content showed 30 seconds of a story that spanned years. It didn't show the psychiatric crisis that preceded the tragedy, the mental health system that failed to intervene, or a family desperately seeking help for a daughter losing touch with reality. This is the case of Isabella Guzman, a case about untreated severe mental illness, a legal system trying to balance justice with medical reality, and how social media turns tragedy into entertainment. This is the full story, and it's not the story the viral video told. Isabella Guzman was born in June 1995 in Colorado. Her early childhood appeared remarkable. She attended school in the Aurora area and lived with her mother, Yunmi Hoy, and stepfather, Ryan Hoy. But by her teenage years, family members began noticing changes. Behavioral shifts, mood fluctuations, and difficulty maintaining relationships seemed like typical adolescent struggles at first, but they weren't. What the family was witnessing were early warning signs of a severe psychiatric disorder beginning to emerge, signs that would escalate dramatically over the following years. By 2012 and early 2013, Isabella's mental health was rapidly deteriorating. Family members reported increasingly concerning behaviors, including paranoid statements, accusations that people were plotting against her, hearing voices that others couldn't hear, believing she had special powers or special knowledge, and severe difficulty distinguishing between what was real and what was not. These are classic symptoms of psychosis, a medical condition where an individual loses contact with reality. The family sought help, reached out to mental health services, and tried to get Isabella into treatment, but navigating the mental health system is complex, especially when the patient is over 18 and doesn't believe they need help. This gap between needing help and receiving help would prove fatal. By the summer of 2013, Isabella's relationship with her mother had become severely strained, not because of typical mother-daughter conflict, but because Isabella's grip on reality was slipping. She believed her mother was involved in conspiracies against her, believed people were watching her, following her, and plotting harm. None of this was real, but to Isabella, in the grip of untreated paranoid schizophrenia, it felt completely real. Yunmi Hoy was terrified not of her daughter, but for her daughter, and she knew something was deeply wrong. On August 28, 2013, she contacted police asking for a welfare check, telling officers she was concerned about Isabella's mental state and behavior. Police arrived, spoke with Isabella, observed no immediate danger, and left. Hours later, the situation escalated into tragedy. That evening, in their Aurora, Colorado home, a fatal domestic incident occurred. Isabella Guzman, in the midst of a severe psychotic episode, caused the death of her mother, Yunmi Hoy, who was 47 years old, a mother, a wife, and a member of her community. Her stepfather, Ryan Hoy, called emergency services immediately, and when police arrived, they found evidence of a violent struggle. Isabella had fled but was located the following day and taken into custody. From the moment investigators began interviewing Isabella, they realized this was not a typical criminal case. Isabella's responses were disorganized, paranoid, and disconnected from reality. She spoke about conspiracies, about being controlled, about voices and visions. The investigation would need psychiatric expertise because what they were witnessing wasn't criminal consciousness, it was a mental health emergency. When Isabella was taken into custody, she was immediately flagged for psychiatric evaluation. Her behavior in custody was deeply concerning. She made statements that didn't align with reality, appeared unable to understand the gravity of what had occurred, and spoke about people controlling her mind. Court-appointed forensic psychiatrists began comprehensive evaluations over weeks and months, conducting interviews, cognitive testing, psychiatric assessments, reviewing her medical history, family reports, and behavioral records, and observing her in secure psychiatric settings. Their conclusion was unanimous: Isabella Guzman had paranoid schizophrenia. Paranoid schizophrenia is a severe, chronic mental illness affecting approximately 1% of the population. It's characterized by delusions and hallucinations with a persecutory theme. Individuals believe others are trying to harm them, spy on them, or plot against them. They hear voices, see things that aren't there, and develop elaborate false beliefs that feel completely real to them. Critically, during acute psychotic episodes, individuals with this condition lose the ability to distinguish reality from delusion. They cannot rationally assess their actions, and they cannot understand right from wrong in the way a mentally healthy person can. The psychiatrists determined that on August 28, 2013, Isabella was in an acute psychotic state. She believed she was defending herself against a threat that did not exist. In her mind, distorted by severe mental illness, she was acting in self-preservation. The reality that she was harming her own mother was not accessible to her in that moment. Isabella's defense team pursued a verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity, which is one of the most misunderstood verdicts in criminal law. It does not mean the person didn't commit the act, and it does not mean they're getting away with something. It means that at the time of the incident, they were so mentally ill that they could not form criminal intent and could not understand that what they were doing was wrong. For an NGRI verdict, the defense must prove that the defendant had a severe mental disease or defect, and because of that illness, they could not appreciate the wrongfulness of their conduct. In Isabella's case, the psychiatric evidence was overwhelming. Multiple experts testified, and medical records documented years of deteriorating mental health, showing that Isabella's perception of reality was fundamentally broken. After reviewing all evidence and expert testimony, the jury reached their decision, not guilty by reason of insanity. But this verdict did not mean Isabella walked free. Instead, she was committed to the Colorado Mental Health Institute at Pueblo, a secure psychiatric facility, not a prison, but not freedom either. It's a locked treatment center where individuals found in GRI receive intensive psychiatric care, including medication, therapy, behavioral interventions, and medical monitoring. The commitment is indefinite, meaning Isabella cannot be released until psychiatrists determine she is no longer a danger to herself or others. This could be years, decades, or never. The legal system removed her from society not as punishment, but as public safety and medical necessity. This is how the criminal justice system attempts to handle severe mental illness. It's imperfect and complex, but it recognizes that some defendants are so mentally ill that traditional criminal punishment makes no sense. During the 2014 trial, courtroom footage captured Isabella smiling. That footage was uploaded online and within weeks had millions of views. Social media users shared it, commented on it, and made memes from it. The most common reactions were shock and outrage. How can she smile? She has no remorse. She's evil. But those reactions completely missed the medical context. The psychiatric experts had already explained in court that Isabella's inappropriate affect, her smiling at inappropriate times, was a symptom of her schizophrenia. Flat or inappropriate emotional responses are a documented feature of psychotic disorders. She wasn't smiling because she was proud, she was smiling because her brain, damaged by severe mental illness, could not produce appropriate emotional responses. The viral video showed 30 seconds but didn't show the psychiatric testimony, the medical records documenting years of mental health decline, or the experts explaining that what viewers were seeing was a symptom, not a choice. This is the danger of viral true crime content. Complex tragedies involving mental illness, systemic failures, and human suffering are reduced to entertainment. Context is stripped away, medical reality is ignored, and millions of people form opinions based on incomplete, misleading information. Yunmi Hoi deserved better than to have her death become a meme. Isabella Guzman deserved better than to have her mental health crisis turned into spectacle. And the public deserves better than sensationalized clips that obscure the real lessons of these tragedies. The Isabella Guzman case exposes critical failures in our mental health system. First, early intervention matters. Isabella showed warning signs for years, but the system couldn't compel treatment until after tragedy occurred. Second, family members need support and resources. Yunmi Hoi knew her daughter needed help and tried to get that help, but the system didn't have adequate mechanisms to respond. Third, Mental health crises require medical responses, not just criminal justice responses. And finally, the media and public need to approach these cases with more responsibility because viral content can harm everyone involved while teaching the public nothing meaningful about mental health or justice. As of 2026, Isabella Guzman remains at the Colorado Mental Health Institute in Pueblo, receiving ongoing psychiatric treatment and regular evaluations to assess her mental state and potential risk. There is no set release date. Her commitment continues until medical professionals determine she is stable and no longer a danger, which could be many more years. For now, she remains in treatment, not as punishment, but as medical and public safety necessity. The case of Isabella Guzman is a tragedy on multiple levels. A mother lost her life, a daughter lost her mind to illness, a family was shattered, and the mental health system failed to prevent what might have been preventable. This story deserves more than viral clips. It deserves understanding, and it demands that we do better for people living with severe mental illness, for families seeking help, and for preventing future tragedies. If you or someone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis, resources are available in the description. Thank you for watching.